What's up, Journey Disc Golf, and welcome back to the channel and another installation in our series, The Road to 450. We're going to call this one part 5.5. If you saw the last episode, we did a distance check. We hit 415 and we realized we were only able to hit that because our form sucked. So we've been tearing it apart, working on fixing it. Today, we're in the batting cages. We're doing some form work. We're going to catch you up to date on what I've been working on, what I've been focusing on, what's been working for me, and what might just work for you. Let's get into it. Okay, so I made a couple important decisions. The first is in terms of modeling my form. I've chosen one thrower, one athlete that I'm gonna try and shape and model my form around, and that's Drew Gibson. Now, what I was finding is when I was watching a ton of different pros' forms and trying to take little pieces from all of them, made it really hard to integrate those pieces into my own form to be consistent, because I was trying to model after so many different techniques and everyone has a little bit of a different way of doing things. So I've just decided I like the way Drew throws. I like the way his throw looks. I think that looks clean, it looks compact. That's something that I can implement into my own game. So I'm really focusing on his form, on his technique, trying to install that into my own game. So as we pull up a side-by-side of his form and mine, a couple things that really stood out to me that I'm really focused on today. Now, the first is that his arm, his disc, as he goes through the X step, is quite a bit higher than mine. It's kind of more chest height, and I always hear a little more towards the abdomen. So I'm trying to work on keeping the disc higher through the entire reach back to keep the disc on one plane. If you notice in my form, there's kind of this V-shaped, U-shaped up and down. The disc sort of goes up, comes down, goes up. It dips a little bit, so I'm trying to keep that consistent. That's a big thing that I'm focused on. Now, the next is in my swing plane and my wrist. This is, if you've been watching this channel, this is a big thing. You know that I've been focused on this, on working on this. So I had a really interesting comment on my last video that talked about using actually the offhand as the handle of the whip to sort of help instigate the throw, which will sort of maybe affect the wrist. So I'm focusing on that, really trying to be compact like Drew. Hit this point here, punch through first, focus on the arm coming through. We'll see if that makes a difference on my wrist. Certainly that double move that Slingshot talks about a lot. If you haven't seen Slingshot Disc Golf, make sure to check them out. Great content. So I'm focused on that. The other thing I'm focused on is condensing my final step, my final plant step, to be more compact, to get that rotation a little faster, a little tighter, and to play as, once again, as Slingshot coins it, back leg disc golf, to really be on the ball of my foot, on my back leg, which is my left leg, and then explode forward with the hips, with the core, and then have the arm coming through after. So we're here in the batting cages. That's what we're focused on. Let's see if we can't make some progress. Okay, so another thing I'm kind of focused on that I noticed Drew does is that he keeps his offhand almost on the disc until the point where the shoulders separate in the reach back. Then that hand comes off and immediately comes through. So I'm focused on that in terms of my offhand, really trying to stay tight, coiling the shoulders together, and then firing through. Okay, so after spending some time implementing those changes that I was focusing on, I have to say I'm feeling a lot better about my form than I was previously. Now here on the iPad, I have my new form from that session in the batting cages pulled up alongside with Drew's form. We're gonna go through and look at a couple key points to see what looks the same and what looks different. This is one of the most helpful things you can do when trying to make changes to your form, is find still frames and see if your body position matches that of the pro that you're trying to emulate. This can be a really great way to highlight some pieces that you need to continue to work on and need to continue to fix. Also, huge shout out to Overthrow Disc Golf. I can't say enough good things about those guys, and all of this footage of Drew and his form that I'm using is straight from Overthrow. So make sure to go and check them out. Link to their content down in the description. Those guys are incredible. Huge shout out to them for capturing this footage, for putting it online for the rest of us to be able to watch and learn from. So we have this first one pulled up right here as the foot is coming behind in the X step. Now, a couple things that stand out to me right off the bat. As you can see, the disc is much higher. I'm happy with where the disc is at as compared to my form previously. You can see that the hand here still on the disc, Drew's hand still on the disc, so overall happy about that. Now, one thing I will say is I do think my shoulders are coiled just a little bit more than his. You can kind of see he's still pretty straight through here, and I'm kind of starting to coil back through there. So maybe that's something I'll need to work on. But as we continue forward now in both of these positions, let's go ahead and look at this plant step. When that comes down, see where we're at. We'll pull Drew's up to the same point. That foot touches down, we can see where he's at. So I'm definitely a little bit ahead of Drew in terms of the timing. Now that becomes really apparent in the off arm right there versus his here. So the shoulders are, looks like at a similar place in terms of the coil, but as you can see, his off arm still high. Mine has already come down and started to come through. So that's definitely something I need to focus on, that I need to pay a little bit of attention to. Now, something else that I'm also noticing is in terms of the plant step, his feet are a little staggered, but look like they're still somewhat in line, whereas mine look like they're pretty drastically staggered here. So, you know, I know Simon talks a lot about staggering that plant foot. I think there's a little bit of personal preference in this. I do think I step out in front a little more than I would like to. So maybe that's something that I'll work on. Another thing that stands out to me too is head position. When we look here at Drew's head, we can kind of see where he's looking versus me. I'm looking quite a bit farther back than he is. So maybe that's something I need to focus on, is getting that head looking forward just a little bit more, the chin tucked in a little tighter. And then the final thing I think to pay attention to is going to be here on that plant leg, that knee position, and the position of the hip. So overall, I still think I'm coiling a little bit earlier than I would like to. That's something I need to focus and fix, is the timing. But all in all, I have to say I'm really happy with the progress that I've been able to make in a short period of time. Now, I know the key will be continuing to take it slow and work on this every single day to retrain my muscle memory. I know the biggest mistake I can make is try and go out and play 18 holes or throw hard right off the bat, because I know all of those old mistakes, all those old habits will creep right back in. So what's going to be really hard and really important for me is that I don't actually try and play any scored rounds, and I maybe don't even throw disc faster than a putter or a mid-range for 4 to 6 weeks, and just really focus on walking slowly through my form, making sure I ingrain those new habits, checking myself continually to make sure I'm doing it the way that I think I'm doing it until I hit those positions correctly and it becomes like second nature. Only at that point can I then go and try and speed up the form. So hey, that'll be the game plan going forward. I'll definitely continue to make these episodes and update you on how it's going, on what's working, on what's not. I hope this is in some way helpful for you as well, as you're in your own process, your own journey of trying to be a better disc golfer. So I'd love for you to let me know in the comments below what you see in my form, what areas you're working on in your form, and how we can continue to improve our games together. I really appreciate you guys engaging and watching the content. Like and subscribe if you want to. It really helps me out in my ability to continue to make this content for you all. My name's Andrew, and remember, the journey is the destination. Catch you in the next one.